It's Thursday, January 6, 2020. You know, I'm not a prophet, I'm not Nostradamus, but I know danger when I see it. And as I was watching Fox Business News this morning, as I was watching CNBC, as I'm watching all the analysts continuing to promote the stock market, trying to sucker anybody they can into these markets, I see nothing but danger. And I have to say, the only thing that gives me safety is knowing that I've acquired gold and silver. And watching what I'm watching today, this continued melt up, unlike any we've ever seen in the history of the world, the inflating of massive bubbles, unlike any we've ever seen in the history of this world, and this continued melt up that is going to continue to melt up until it no longer can, until the whole thing implodes. This is a warning to every one of you of why you better be preparing and preparing financially, why you better have hard tangible assets, why you better have something in your hands like gold, like silver. You know, I hear these braggadocious people telling me how much money they're going to get out of their pension or how much money they're going to get out of their stocks, yet they don't have it. You know, the old saying, don't count your chickens till the eggs hatch. Tomorrow things could implode and these people are going to be wiped out. This money is nothing but digits on a screen. The whole system is unsustainable. We are running massive debts, massive deficits. We have a stock market that is about as fake as a $3 bill that is being propped up by the Federal Reserve, injecting yet again today another $50 billion into it. So for those people out there who want to write me and tell me how good things are going, how come, if things are going so good, that the Fed had to come in today and inject another $50 billion into the markets? How come the day before yesterday they had injected nearly $95 billion into the repo market? How come we are having a liquidity crisis? How come the Fed is buying debt and buying into these markets if everything is okay? You know, we are in the twilight zone here. There is no doubt about it. I mean, this is not real. And every one of you, including myself, we're all going to pay a huge price for this criminality that's been taking place, for this Ponzi scheme. We're all going to pay a price whether we want to believe that or not. We're all going to pay a price one way or the other. This is going to have drastic effects on the future of America, on you, your kids, your grandkids, your standard of living, the quality of life, and the future of America. We are going to pay an enormous price for the thievery that is going on in Wall Street right now, while the 1% get richer and while the 99% are going to pay the price when this collapse comes. $50 billion injected today, on top of the situation that is growing in China. Everything that I'm reading, I'm sure most of you are reading the same things. It's getting worse. It's not getting better. Yet the stock market could care less. It's completely detached from reality. The stock market doesn't care about what's happening in China. It doesn't care about what's happening on Main Street. It doesn't care what's happening in your life. It doesn't care what's happening in the economy or the global economy. All it cares about is when it's going to get the next injection from the Federal Reserve. It is fake. Supply chains are breaking right now in China. No effect on the stock market. We know as a fact right now here in America that our manufacturing sector is in recession, that our freight sector is in recession. The stock market continues to grow while the economy continues to shrink. CNBC today, hundreds of millions of chickens at risk of being wiped out with much of China locked down. CNBC today, okay? This is mainstream. Yet the stock market doesn't even care. You think that this is not going to have an effect on the global economy? Of course it is. It may not affect Wall Street. It may not affect the stock market, but it is going to affect the global economy. It is going to affect day-to-day life. Tomorrow we will get the job numbers, and I think they're going to be pretty good. But most of us need to realize this. 80% of these jobs are going to be low-wage, low-paying jobs. These are going to be mostly service sector jobs. You know, we're being told, we hear about that there's so many jobs in America that Americans now have 2 and 3 jobs. Well, Americans have 2 and 3 jobs because they can't find full-time work. They can't find jobs with benefits. They need to work 2 or 3 jobs just to make ends meet because 80% of America is living paycheck to paycheck. So the quality of jobs is depreciating in America, and that's why the typical American is working 2 or 3 jobs, 2 or 3 side hustles, call it whatever you want, because they cannot afford to live unless they are working 2 or 3 jobs. We now have 2 or 3 incomes in a household just to support that household. Used to be just the father. Then it's the mother. Now it's even one of the kids having to work to contribute in order for that household to function. We hear about how many women are now entering the workforce and they're getting most of the jobs. And when you think about that, Peter Schiff brought that point up that, many women would probably rather be at home raising their kids, doing the most important job that there is, being a mother, but they can't because they can't afford to. So they've got to go work a job or a part-time job or a side hustle, being a cashier, working at Starbucks, doing whatever most of these jobs in the service sector. Now, that doesn't mean that women don't have good jobs and not doctors, lawyers, and things like that, or that they choose to be in the workforce and be a professional. I get it. I understand that. And there are a lot of women that do that. But there are a lot of women now who do not want to be in the workforce. They want to take care of their family. They want to take care of the most important job in the world, and that's being a mother, taking care of the household. They don't have that luxury any longer. So now they've got to go work a part-time job or a full-time job and take care of the family. So I think it's heading in the wrong direction. Fiat Chrysler, latest to warn of looming supply chain crisis as White House says, don't worry. And we're hearing a lot about that. Don't worry, everything's great. I mean, just turn on CNBC, turn on Fox Business. There are no worries. Reality is not in the picture any longer. There are no fundamentals. The situation in China, don't worry about it. Supply chain crisis, don't worry about it. Manufacturing recessions, don't worry about it. Repo injections, nothing to worry about. $10 and $12 an hour jobs, don't worry about it. Just work 2 or 3 of them. So there's nothing to worry about. Here's another one. Ohio pension system slashes health care benefits to starve off insolvency. And this, again, goes to the people. These people that want to brag about their pensions, bragging about their stock portfolios. These people have none of this in their hands. These people thought they had a pension, but now they're getting a part of a pension. The pension voted last week to cut health care benefits provided to the pensions, current and future retirees beginning in 2022 to try to prevent the fund from plunging into insolvency in the not too distant future. Keyword, try. They're going to try not to let this thing plunge into insolvency. So it just starts with, a healthcare cut. But mark my words, down the road, they're going to get another haircut. They're going to get a 25 or 50% cut in their monthly check. Surveys indicate members are willing to accept changes and reductions in healthcare in the interest of preserving it. Of course, they have no other choice. CalPERS, that's our pension here in California, the largest pension system in the country, is only about 70% funded. CalPERS is dropping employer contributions to near zero for 2 years and sponsoring a state worker pension increase called SB 400. Its generous highway patrol formula adopted by local police and firefighters is said by some to be unsustainable. It is 100% unsustainable. When I look at the firefighters and the police officers in this state retiring, getting 80, 90, $100,000+ a year in their pensions, that's 100% unsustainable. I thank everybody for their service, but how many people in this country work just as hard, if not harder, and retire with absolutely nothing? And these cats are retiring at 80, 90, $100,000 plus. I mean, I know people who are high up in law enforcement, and they're going to retire well above $100,000 a year. Unsustainable. I mean, these people are retiring millionaires for working a state job. I mean, do you get that? A state worker is going to walk away with millions of dollars in his pension, walking away a millionaire for working for the state. It's incredible. Illinois state pension shortfall rose to $137 billion in 2019. Another example of another pension and another state that is going to collapse. These pensions are in the stock market. And ask yourself, what happens when this stock market corrects, when we have a downturn? What do you think is going to happen to these pensions? How are we going to sustain paying firefighters and cops 80, 90, 100,000 plus dollars a year, teachers 70, 80, $100,000 a year? How is this going to be sustained? It's impossible. These pensions are just one major investment loss away from their funding rates dropping below 50%. So as things continue to get worse in China, U.S. corporations assume that supply chains will return to normal in the next week or two. What if they don't? What happens? Once the supply chain breaks, the roosters come home to roost. Now, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really know what's going on over there, but from everything I've read, things are continuing to get worse. Supply chains continue to close down. Companies living on debt and speculation only need the slightest push to careen off the cliff of insolvency. These companies are not prepared for a speed bump. They're not prepared for something coming out of left field like what's taking place in China. And this is all it takes. We are so fragile as a country. We have such a fragile economy here that it really just takes one event and everything is going to change abruptly. So I'm going to wrap the video up right here. Last article on wolfstreet.com. Ford better figure out how to sell vehicles. Global sales are down 19% from the peak of 2016. This is Ford Motors. Stock market's up today. How can the stock market be up when one of the biggest automakers in the world is getting hammered? Ford sales in China have collapsed 58% since the peak of 2016. Ford sales in South America have plunged 45% from the peak of 2013. Ford's least worst performing market, Canada, sales there have fallen only 8% from the peak of 2015. Australia, sales down 38% from the 2010 peak. Stock market could care less. Doesn't care about automakers, doesn't care about you, doesn't care about the US economy. It doesn't care about situations in China. It doesn't care about supply chains. It cares about the central bank, the biggest one being the Federal Reserve injecting hundreds of billions of dollars into the stock market to keep it propped up. This is a massive Ponzi scheme. And look, nothing's going to stop what's coming. Nothing's going to prevent what's coming. We are definitely, no doubt, past the point of no return. We are going to pay a massive price for what these bankers, what these elite, and what these politicians have done to the system here. We're all going to pay a massive price. We're paying it. It still blows me away how many people are buying this propaganda that the economy is doing well based on the stock market. These continue to be the same people that have $50,000 worth of debt. They're working 2, maybe 3 jobs, and half of their income is going to a rent check, and yet they tell me that things are great. Today, people are just so conditioned to believe all this propaganda, and it's really, really sad. The same people who have basically had their futures stolen from them believe everything is okay. They've been duped. They've been bamboozled. They've been watching the television for way too many years, and they're buying this whole economy hook, line, and sinker. And really, the biggest fear is, what are these people going to do when this economy does implode, when it does turn, when it does correct? These people are not prepared. They believe everything is okay working 2 or 3 jobs and having $50,000 of debt and just getting by, living on credit cards, what have you. They believe everything is okay because the stock market's up. This is as good as it gets. I feel sorry for those people. If you're watching this, you're one of those people, you need to wake up today. You need to start putting some assets away. You need to start preparing for reality, because reality is coming to America, no doubt about it. People can drink all the Kool-Aid they want. They can high five all they want. They can watch all this garbage on television where they're telling you that you need to be in these markets, that you need to be in these overinflated bubbles. These things are on borrowed time. It's a ticking time bomb. It's going to blow up. You need to be holding real assets, not pieces of paper that are on borrowed time. This thing is going to freaking blow up. And it's just really sad to see how many people are going to lose, quite literally, their lives, their futures, their wealth, their retirements, everything, because they put all their trust in the television, the financial institutions, the government, and they bought this hook, line, and sinker. And I'm going to tell you, the banking institutions, the financial institutions, and the government are not going to be there to pick up the pieces when this thing implodes. You're going to be left to fend for yourself. So make sure that you're topping off all preps, food, water, mainly security. Financially, make sure that you're holding hard tangible assets, gold and silver. Remember, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. When this thing implodes, none of these people, their 401ks, their money markets, their pensions, they're not holding anything. They're going to be left on their own. And they're going to be victims of chaos, victims of an economic collapse. The people holding real money, the people holding assets are going to survive. God bless every one of you. Talk to you soon.